To me, Romeo and Juliet, it's a whole host of things. It's a series of things. You could say there's, friendships are a central element to the whole thing. You know, people ally with each other against the forces of us, or they're all looking for one thing, and through it they're with friendships. They use friendships to get what they want. Benvolio with Romeo, Romeo with Juliet. I work with Lady Capulet. There's a constant battle between each other to fulfill their wants or their wishes. That's what I found was a central role. To me, there was just constant battles between different relationships, really.
Romeo and Juliet for me is a love story, but also, like David said, it's all about the friendships or the relationships between the characters. Everyone is connected. Like Romeo is connected with Juliet, but Juliet's also connected with Tybalt, who is then in conflict with Romeo, and that of course causes a lot of problems in their relationship then.
Well, Capulet isn't a nice character in any regards. He didn't come to me straight away. Definitely didn't. Through rehearsals, I'd read it. I'd be, trying to remember lines, but also trying to figure out who this guy was. And he's definitely a very difficult character to pin down immediately. It was quite a while, actually, maybe 2 months even, through the rehearsal process before I had kind of really figured him out. And even at that, I didn't have him completely figured. He's a mercurial character. He changes a lot. It took a while, but what I would say is definitely through the rehearsals, you definitely try different things. You figure out little niches that he definitely is this, he mightn't be that. You try and play around with it, but it took a while. How now? A conduit girl? What? Still in tears? Evermore showering? In one little body thou counterfeitest a bark, a sea, a wind. For still thy eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. He changes quite often. He tries to be on the side of the crowd, and sometimes he just flat out goes what he wants. What he wants I found hard to get initially, but I eventually came to the fact that he just wants to be the greatest person he can possibly be. He wants to show his wealth to the town of Verona. He wants to show his whole power system or scheme to anybody around. He just basically, in the eyes of everybody else, he wants to be the best, and he'll do anything to get that, really. That's what drives him. He will, if it means, telling his daughter you can rot out in the street, he'll do it once he gets what he wants. Simple. That's it. Thursday is near. Lay hand on heart. Advice. And you be mine, I'll give you to my friend. And you be not, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets, for by my soul I'll ne'er acknowledge thee, nor what is mine shall ever do thee good. Trust to it.
What drives Lady Capulet? Well, she pretty much does whatever her husband wants her to do. And what she really wants is for Juliet to be married, for Juliet to go off and have her own family. That's what she believes is what the next step is, and that's what the play is about. Lady Capulet is a woman of tradition, really. She believes that once you hit the age of 13, 14, you are sent off to be married to someone rich who will then support you, and you will have children, and the next generation the same thing will happen. So that's what she wants for Juliet, and that for me is what she is. And she believes that Juliet should just go and marry County Paris, and she doesn't realise, or she doesn't understand why this is a problem. This is what everyone did. This is what her mother did, or her grandmother did, and so on.
Well, thou hast a careful father, child, one who to put thee from thy heaviness hath sorted out a sudden day of joy, that thou expect'st not nor looked not for.
Madam, in happy time, what day is that?
Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant young and noble gentleman, the County Paris, at St. Peter's Church shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Between our relationships, between myself and Lady Capulet, it's turbulent in the sense that I found playing Lord Capulet, I didn't know what Lady Capulet could do as such. I knew I was the dominant character. I knew I had a certain hold over her, but in some scenes she revealed a certain kind of a fiery take against the prince in a particular scene, and from then on I found the relationship wasn't quite certain, but it was definitely, I definitely had a hold over Lady Capulet. Yeah.
Affection makes him false, he speaks not true. Some 20 of them fought in this black strife, and all those 20 could but kill one life. I beg for justice. which thou, prince, must give. Romeo slew Tybalt, Romeo must not live.
Yeah, I completely agree with the relationship between the two characters. Lord Capulet is the more dominant one. Lady Capulet does what he says, does whatever he wants her to do. And whenever he tells her to go to Juliet, she does. Whenever he tells her, oh, the wedding date has changed, she just goes with it, she changes it. She doesn't stand up for her daughter, she follows Lord Capulet everywhere and does what he wants.
Talk not to me, for I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee.
It's bringing it to a modern stage. Of course, the language is complex at times, but I found once you got through the text and you had a certain fundamental or basic grip on the character, you could make that character more real. You could kind of normalize him in the sense that you could really show off who he truly is. The banking sector and the things, the way the country went, Lord Capulet, we went for the whole modern feel of him being a banker. He's ruthless in that sense. So I had a certain amount of help in the sense that a lot of things in today's media is to do with the bankers and that. So I kind of gripped onto a little bit of that, not too much of it to really kind of be a little bit more poignant with the character, Yeah.
Well, once I got through the actual script of Shakespeare and breaking down, finding out exactly what each line meant, each meaning in each phrase and everything, trying to work out exactly what she was talking about and help me understand what she meant, who she was, which really helped to normalise. Also, the clothes that we wore on stage, our costumes and everything, where we had them more sleek, more modern, more normal, helped to normalise them as well. And also we wanted them to be able to relate to the audience, so by normalising them it was much easier for the audience to relate to the characters.
From scratch, creating the scene. Well, for instance, the last scene when Juliet's dead and we have to come in and it's quite emotional, I found that a little bit difficult, but it was okay because the main thing is you got to keep the focus. We'd read through the text, we'd have to find the meaning, you'd stand up, you'd have the text still, but you'd work on the staging quite a bit then at that stage. But I found, things are subject to change. Nothing's for granted. You're not going to keep everything the same. So as time went on, I learned that, okay, we had it this way at the start, but, it's completely different to what it was now. So I learned from that you got to just basically go with the flow, in a sense.
Yeah, but that scene that David was talking about when we find Juliet's body, starting off reading the script, then getting up onto the stage and actually setting it out, it's just mad the differences that you find. You think that you know what the script is, you think that you understand the scene, and then you get up and you get new ideas and you're told to do it a different way, and you're like, oh, that's what that means, and that completely different meanings come out of it then. When you actually put it into
Well, do you remember we actually did it? Initially we actually went, up to nearly the last night, we nearly changing things. Do you remember we had Juliet was lying on the bed or the tomb, we actually had to flip the entire thing and went completely opposite, visually opposite, for whatever reason.
Yeah, and also we had two characters singing in the background while the scene was going on, and then the characters were overlapping and the lines were coming in on top of each other, which just created more emotion and everything. It brought the whole thing completely together, which you don't get from just reading the script.
Most lamentable day, most woeful day, for a loving child, never I can yet be
The shouting out to the audience for help, because Juliet had died and everything, was just to completely connect with the audience, and you could see it when you shouted up at them and they were like, oh my god, they're talking to me, what do I do? It just completely grabbed their focus and their attention and everything, which I think really worked in that scene.
Lady, help! Help, my lord, my lady! Oh, lamentable day, what's life? Look, oh, heavy day. Oh me, my child, I only lie for 5 months off, or I will die with thee! Help! Help! Oh, help!
It's the scene, I'd have to say, it was challenging, but it was fun. I found it hard to be mean, but it was a scene basically where he's having a complete rant at
That's my favourite one.
at Juliet. Yeah, it's tough. It was tough to do, and it was hard, and it was very sore in the voice. But it was challenging, but I really enjoyed it, and it was great fun to kind of completely different to anything I'd really done in that sense, playing a complete villainous character in that particular scene. So it was interesting. Why I liked it is because it was different to me as a person, but any other character I've ever played, I had to literally shout my head off at people, and just see the reaction. I found it hard at the start to kind of bear that, because I don't want to upset anybody, but at the same time I enjoyed it because it was quite different, and it was a completely different side to what I've done before.
That was also my favourite scene, but although Lady Capulet didn't have much to say in it, she didn't have much of a part in it, she was there for the whole scene, and it was the first time we really saw her stand up to her husband. The first time she said, "No, stop, you've gone too far, lay off Juliet." And I just thought that was really interesting that it took her so long to actually come to that point, to stand up to her husband.
And why, my lady Wisdom? Hold your tongue, good Prudence! Smatter with your gossips, go!
I speak no treason.
Oh, gaudy good.
May not one speak?
Peace, you mumbling fool! Utter your gravity over a gossip's bowl, for here we need it
You
not!
are too hot.
God, Brandon makes me mad!
Lady Capulet's a lot older than I am, and is trying to find out what an older woman would think, a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, who has a daughter who's almost my age, and what she would, and the way she would react to certain situations the way I wouldn't. Just trying to figure that out, I suppose.
Picked up a lot from Peter, and working with actors in KYT, I can tell you. One thing I found that I initially thought I wouldn't have a problem with was articulation and projection. I'd played a smaller role in Macbeth last year, but nothing the size of Lord Capulet. So when I came to Lord Capulet, he had a lot of text. Some of them were quite emotionally driven. There's scenes where he's quite angry. I found trying to get projection out and trying to articulate words properly challenging, but it took a while. But with the help of Peter, I eventually got it. To make that character convincing, make him real, but through the emotions and stuff, but also making sure people can understand.
Good fate 'tis day! The county will be here with music straight, for so he said he would!
Goodbye.
I hear him near! Nurse, wife! Nurse, what I say! Go wake the Juliet! Go and bring her up! I'll chapel Paris! Make haste, I say! The bridegroom is come already! Make haste!
Well, I think a lot of it is really similar. The conflicts and also the relationships in Romeo and Juliet are really relevant nowadays, particularly, as David said, with their love and everything, and parents not agreeing with who you're going out with, and they'd prefer you to go out with someone else, and not necessarily in the same way that Lord Capulet says he's going to kick Juliet out of the house, but in the kind of way that parents kind of steer their children in the direction that they want them to take or they want them to go, which is, as we can see in Romeo and Juliet.
Definitely, they definitely connected characters of Romeo and Juliet to young people today. I mean, they're both madly in love, young age, but they've also have to deal with their parents' desires, and that's a common feature in today's life. Often, you'll have two kids who are in love, and the parents are like, well, he's not right for you, or she's not right for him, that kind of way. So it's definitely a common feature, and I'm sure it hit younger audience members as well. I found, if you have someone, if a character has a mental illness, or anybody does, if they have somebody they love or somebody they find that they can share these feelings with or these problems, that always is going to be a good thing. And it's definitely in today's society you would see that, people, young people especially, with the situation, you'd be in, definitely having an ally or a close friend in a relationship like that would definitely be a good thing.
I think in today's society with mental illness and depression, and that there's more people you can talk to, there's more of an understanding about it, whereas when Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet, if someone had depression or anything like that, no one knew how to deal with it. They didn't know what it was. They didn't understand. And then in this, we see Juliet seems depressed, locked up in her own life, and then when she finds Romeo, she sort of she breaks out of that and she finds comfort and love in him then.
Soft. Take me with you. Take me with you, wife. How? Will she none? Does she not give us thanks? Is she not proud? Does she not count herself blessed, unworthy as she is that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bride?
Not thankful that you have, proud that you have. Thankful can I never be of what I hate, but thankful even for hate that has meant love.
How now, chop logic! What is this? I thank you, proud and yet not proud, and I thank you not. Mistress Minion, thank me no thankings, nor proud me no prouds, but fettle your fine joints against Thursday next to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither. Out, you green sickness carrion! Out, you baggage, you tallow face!